Were you going to bring down some members of your team?
Yes, we have
kind of international elements that went into making this film in the first place, Sundance Institute and Biennale and so on.
Well, this film was made for a challenge in a way. Biennale, Venice Biennale College Cinema is part of Biennale, Venice Biennale, and with a partnership with Venice Film Festival. They had like a competition where people applied from all over the world, and they picked 12 projects that are based on treatment, so an idea. And in 10 days, you workshop the idea. You pitched orally with your.
Yeah. So the initial idea, I guess, for the story, speaking of Argentina. Rania was in Argentina, and she saw one of these baby dolls in a window in a vintage toy store, and thought it was a real baby, and so went to inspect it and found out it was a doll and talked to the owner, and we were introduced into this world of reborn doll collecting. So we thought it was very interesting, and there was a lot of internet research and videos on YouTube, and it was just a very fascinating world. And at the same time, we kind of had this idea floating around that was really the basis for the science fiction, if you will, part of the film, which was something falls out of the sky and sets off a series of chain events. And so we started mixing these around, and eventually, slowly, while writing and finding different stories from here or there, either the internet or the news stories, like the head that floats down the river, that actually happened. Outside of Poughkeepsie, upstate New York, this large statue head was found floating down the river. Nobody ever could claim it or know where it came from. So we just thought it was interesting. We started feeding things like this into the script. And over the course of maybe actual writing, before the actual writing, maybe over the course of about a year or a year and a half, we were just pulling all of these ideas from places that eventually made their way into the script. So.
And can you talk a little bit about the development of this dual structure that you have these two women, the younger and the older Helen?
This is kind of our third feature. So we had made a film. The first film was set in Lebanon. It was about a male protagonist. The second one had male and female. And at the third one, I said I really want to make a movie about women. And as fictional as they are, somehow both Helens were dealing with the same theme. We knew that the theme is motherhood. We were at the age of thinking about these things ourselves. So in a way, young Helen is my anxieties now, and older Helen is what I fear I'll become when I'm older. So this is simply what both represent. But yes, we wanted a modern, something always modern and ancient about the story and the structure and the narrative. We were pulling structure from old Greek mythology. It's a tragedy. It's a place that existed or maybe didn't exist, but we put it in a place that is really modern. So in that duality in the modern and the ancient led itself to an older and a younger character versions.
And in terms of you use a lot of genre elements as well, and I think that's also kind of considering how you have realism working with fantasy and working with disaster film and so on. Can you talk a little bit about working with all those elements, bringing them together in this film, and what was important to you?
We knew that we really never, when we write, we never really write from a genre perspective. I always told people, if Jana approached me and told me let's make a science fiction, I'd be like, I have no idea. I don't think I've seen enough science fiction to bring anything to the table. It just happens. We write the scenes and they have their own progressions, and the images have their own progressions. At the end, when we watch the film for the first time, and when people laugh or are scared or we are as amazed because we never really think about these things while writing. We write very organically, and it goes as it wants to go for us, as a story. Yeah.
Let me ask, we have actually 2 microphones.
And we see the head go by. I'm curious as to why you felt you needed that.
Why we felt that they should meet, you mean?
Yeah. To me, because for me, I just thought you didn't need that. That was kind of a bit of a tying it up all together, which was unnecessary and kind of felt like... I liked it not being all tied up together.
I think you might be the only one. No, it actually, we just wanted maybe to really unify the location more than the stories. Does it make sense? We wanted to say that, to make sure that it's undoubtedly that these 2 things are happening in that place. The place was very important at that time. So we didn't want to leave that open in a way.
Yeah, I guess in a sense it was, in this town, it's very possible that these 2 people would be at some point in their lives in these days, possibly. It's not a very big town. At the same stoplight or, next to each other at the same whatever it is. So, it was just that. But yeah, in that sense that we didn't want to have the characters kind of meet or interact. That was a definite, conscious decision. But I think this was just maybe for us and just... to bring back the head element, it was just it was a location thing, a location device to just set the town that they both actually did live there. Yeah.
Okay, hello. Congratulations on the movie. I really like the feelings, how you portray the feelings actually. I really find it innovative in a way. But my question is about directing. I noticed there was written and directed by 2 people. I suppose how did you work or cooperate with the directing, the director's work? Yeah,
we've basically only directed together. We've known each other now for like 15 years. Have made many films, and general kind of art projects. But this is our 3rd feature, and it's this is the only way we've worked. So it's just maybe just natural for us now. But it's basically just a mixture of conversation and argument. It's really what it comes down to. And as far as and that goes through everything. We edit together, we conceptualize together. We don't physically, sit at the computer and write together, but it's definitely a collaboration all the way through. And on set, it's not at all uncommon for us to each be talking to the actors or actor at the same time, and sometimes saying completely opposite things. So it's
So on the set, you're both actually directing at one time.
Yeah, it depends scene to scene, but there are points where we are talking at the same time. At other times, one of us does it and the other says agrees, or we have already talked about it. It just depends.
Oh, and Daniel is also on the camera. So Daniel's shooting the film.
Oh, okay.
So he's also is mostly also looking, and I'm listening, which kind of splits the job naturally. He's looking at the performance from blogging and where they are and how their facial expression is, and I'm hearing, paying attention mostly to the hearing, but it's all a discussion.
Other questions out there?
The other pushes her out the window, she kills him, she ends up in a mental institution. So we wanted to kind of bring that, because we were making a tragedy and they were an artist couple, we had to highlight this violence that for us we experience. It's we don't hit each other or we don't make this type of art, but it's unavoidable when you are creating something with someone that also you are completely honest with. There is no diplomacy and there is not too much politeness, so it could get violent, at least orally.
This is why there's so many producers.
To stop the fights.
Other questions? I actually have a question which is about the city of Troy and how you found, I mean, obviously the name Troy, of course, leading us back to the mythology bit, but how did you sort of make connections to the city, and did you already have like pre-existing connections to Troy?
No, actually, when we were writing, we were trying to make this film that's based on all these things that are real. So even the weird things that are happening in the movie, we wanted them to have either happened in real life or there is a possibility that they could occur, from the babies to the head to the meteor that we watched videos of meteors exploding, stuff like this. And then when somebody randomly when we were writing mentioned that there's a town called Troy, New York, which was not too far from us. And we went there and we looked at it and location scouted, and then we started writing it into the film because we were still in the basic character writing stage. And they were super welcoming. It's a super small town. It has 50, I think, am I wrong? 50,000 people. And it's not like it's LA or New York. They were super generous, and everybody was very excited that we are making a film that has a real place, and we're portraying that real place. And they were really the motto at the end. Ilium was Troy is the motto of real Troy, New York. It's everywhere in the town. So they have that. So it's a place that already came with a very mythical, glorious past to it, and now it's a very small, quaint town that is also a little bit depressed in a way. So it was a perfect setting.
Absolutely. Again, any questions out there? Anyone want to add a question or comment? Because otherwise.